Welcome back. All right, so surprise, surprise. Tonight there were a lot of surprises, to be honest. It was kind of crazy. There was an '80s night in Colorado. Who knew? And we'll see when I get to that. It was just ridiculous. But yeah, we start off with Buffalo and the New Jersey Devils. So let's go ahead and jump in with this. Both teams were in the reverse retros, and all I could think was, so we're going to 18 rounds of a shootout, huh? Because again, do the reverse retros win? Do they lose? Actually, tonight, reverse retros did relatively well. They end up 2-2 on the night. Hall took a puck to the face. He'd be out for a while. He would return to the game, but he'd be out for a while. The shots were 6-1 for the Sabres at 6 minutes. Yep. Buffalo played really well tonight. Again, good game for them. Blackwood stopped a shot from Okposo. The Devils were stuck on one shot. It's weird because Buffalo looked really good. And New Jersey looked like they were overmatched early. Thompson gets a break, shoots high. The Devils get a power play. Johansson stopped a good chance for Wood, and then it's Sharangovich scoring from Severson at 17:40. Middlestad immediately tries to answer. With 1:45 left, the Sabres get a power play. But they're down 1-0 after a period that they were the better team. So we go to the second period. Hall not returned at that point. The Devils press 2 minutes in. There's a power play for the Sabres. It doesn't score, but they score rapid fire, which doesn't seem to happen very often for Buffalo, but at least they got goals tonight. So first it's Reeder from Montour and Okposo at 6:13, and then Skinner with a nice goal. He scores from Middlestad and Montour at 7:10. Now, Skinner would end up mixing things up with Nathan Bastian. Bastian from the box would tell him he's the most overpaid player in the NHL. That's a mixed message, isn't it? Hey, you make too much money. Yeah, well, I make the money. That's kind of the answer, right? Like, I got the. You don't have the money. I have the money. I could buy 9 of you with my contract. And yeah, so the Devils would answer, tie the game up. It's Vatanen, his first of the year, from Kuokkanen and Murray at 10:34. Or 10:39, I should say. Things get kind of scrummy around 11 minutes. We end up with a 4-on-4. The Devils were pressing during that. Wood has a chance to stop, so we go to the third period. In the third, Subban really angry 21 seconds in. And, he can be a bit temperamental, and sometimes if you can knock him off his game, he may make a mistake. It didn't turn out for the Sabres, but they tried. Hall was back on the ice. There was a 2-on-2 for the Sabres he was a part of. Blackwood then denied Olofsson. Blackwood had one of those games tonight where it looks like he's back to form, but it also looked like New Jersey was playing a little better defensively too. And again, they're against the Sabres, so we'll see whether or not that's the case. Devils go back to the power play. Zaka was hurt there. I don't believe he left the game though. Brad had a shot that was blocked during the power play, and then they score on it. It's Wood from Bratt and Subban at 4:52. That's where the angry Subban thing comes back to bite you, because sometimes it gets them on the board the other way. So that made it 3-2. Devils then go back to the power play, and it was a matter of, in that third period, Buffalo was getting chances and shots, but not really from prime real estate. Not really from high opportunity spots on the ice. They pull the goalie with 1:51 left. Stahl was robbed. The Sabres were robbed. And those beautiful reverse retros for Buffalo, still winless. They're now winless in 12 games as a team. Shots in this one favored Buffalo in the first 12-5. They came out of that period down 1-0. Second period shots were 15-12 for New Jersey. In the third, the shots were 11-7 Buffalo. Final shots 35-27 for the Sabres. Power plays, Buffalo 0 for 2, New Jersey 1 for 3. Johansson 24 saves on 27 shots. Blackwood saved 33 out of 35. The Devils, they go to 9-13-4. Buffalo drops to 6-18-4. A lot of ouch in there, isn't there? But again, does it make it feel any different? I would argue it doesn't. That at this point, the numbness throughout Buffalo fandom, it is what it is. Next up, Islanders. So this was the big one, right? The Islanders and the Capitals. And yeah, reverse retro caps. Love the jersey. Team looks good. Samsonov was tested early, had one of his better games for the season tonight. But the Caps did something interesting. So I've been mentioning in reviews, the Islanders get other teams to play their game. The Caps kind of beat them at it tonight. So Mayfield takes a shot that almost fooled Samsonov in that first one, right under his arm. Shots were 6-3 for the Islanders at 9 minutes. Again, it felt like an Islanders game at that stage. Like, all right, so the Islanders are playing their style. They'll normally win this. Power play for the Islanders. That's killed off. Things get kind of scrummy late. Looked like they were sending messages to one another out there. So we go to the second period scoreless. The Caps get a power play. That's killed off. But Ovechkin had a big night, right? The scoring is gradually picking up for Ovechkin. And he gets a secondary assist on this. Oshie with a fast break goal from Kuznetsov and Ovechkin at 10:36. That is point number 1,300 for Ovechkin. And it was a really nice goal by Oshie. No chance for Varlamov. The Caps go back to the power play. They score on it. Who gets the goal? Ovechkin. So Ovechkin gets point number 1,300 and then 1,301. With that goal, he has now passed Phil Esposito for 6th on the all-time goal-scoring list with goal number 718. Schultz and Backstrom with the assists of 15-24, and that's, what, a 4-game goal-scoring streak now for Ovechkin? It's starting, isn't it? This is why I don't count him out. This is why I don't talk about how he's off to a slow start. This is why I don't get into it, because I know he's going to pick it up. So it's 2-0. Hathaway then had a break that was stopped. Mayfield and Panik get kind of upset with one another at the end of the period. And Mayfield gets a penalty on it. So Mayfield wasn't happy with Panik, and he takes a penalty. So the Caps start with a power play in that third period. Now, usually when it's a penalty at the end of the period, usually that power play at the start of whatever period is, whether it's the second or the third, it's usually not very effective. In this case, it is. Backstrom scores from Vrana and Carlson at 28 seconds. They came out on the ice with a plan. Get the goal, and they did. Pretty simple plan. The Islanders then get a power play. That was their first of the game. I was watching the Islanders feed. They weren't happy about that either. And they'd score on it. Wallstrom scores unassisted at 4:17. So Wallstrom continues his hot streak for the Islanders. Aho then took a penalty right after, puts the Caps back on the power play. Barzal was responsible for one of those goals for the Caps, and so he was benched for the first 8 minutes of that period by Barry Trotz. So that just shows that, yeah, star players do get benched, they do get talked to, and then they get a chance to go out on the ice and prove themselves again. So Beauvillier had a chance that misses wide. The Islanders would push, but they're not getting shots. So the Caps are keeping them to the outside and keeping the shots down. With 5 minutes and 20 seconds left, the shots were 4 apiece. Perfectly fine for the Capitals. They're ahead 3-1. The Caps proving that they can play the trap if they need to. That if it's a defensive game you want, fine, we can do that. With 1:20 left, the Islanders pull the goaltender. And again, Samsonov had one of his best games of the season, if not the best game of the season. The Caps hold on. They go to 19-6-4. The Islanders take their first regulation loss, and I think it was 12 games they went without a regulation loss. So they go to 19-7-4. Shots in this one, 11-7 Islanders in the first, 7-4 Washington in the second, and 8-7 Washington in the third. Both teams had 22 shots. So not a lot of notes because there really was a lot of neutral zone play, a lot of play to the outside, and shots not getting through. Power plays, the Islanders went 1 for 2. Washington went 2 for 4. Varlamov saves 19 out of 22. Samsonov saves 21 out of 22. So, yeah, it was a close one. Good one. And for tonight, the Capitals are the best team in the division. We'll see if they can do it again in the next one. Boston. This was an interesting game in that I thought 2 underrated goaltenders did pretty well. Casey DeSmith, who's underrated for Pittsburgh, and Vladar. Apparently Boston's future's fine. If you look at tonight's game as an example, Vladar making his first career start, not too shabby. And he didn't look shaky. He looked pretty good. He's a big goaltender. And yeah, maybe he's the next one. I don't want to say goalie of the future. That's a jinx. So the Pens wearing their thirds. There was some 4-on-4 play early. There was penalties exchanged back and forth, basically. DeSmith was sharp when tested, but with the overlapping penalties, there was a power play for Boston, and they score on it. It's Pasternak scoring from Marchand and Grzelcyk at 3:20. That is not a 5-on-5 goal. So that drought continued to that point. The Bruins then had a 2-on-1. Pasta fanned on the shot. As many goals as Pasternak's getting, there's a lot more he could be getting, where he's just missing. He's just having moments where it really feels like he could go on a huge run goal-wise. DeSmith then denied Grzelcyk. The Pens, they press. The Bruins would clear it, though. Vladar robbed Sevier with his stick, and I can't describe it, but he was kind of caught going one way and came back, and his stick stopped the Sevier chance. Fantastic save by Vladar. Tenorti had a chance that was stopped. The rebound goes wide. The Penguins then get a power play. They don't score on it, but they would tie it before the period was out. Tanev scores from Rodriguez and Kapanen at 15-22. Lots of shots for both teams. Very wide open first period. It would drop a bit in the second and third because 30 shots between the two teams in the first period. It's hard to maintain that kind of action. So the Penguins press with 2.5 minutes left, and the rest of that period was all Penguins. So Boston comes out of this 1-1 draw, maybe a bit fortunate, and their goaltender looking good. Second period, Penguins get an early power play. That we then get a 58-second 4-on-4 period, and then Vladar stops a really good shot from Jankowski. Penguins press at 4.5 minutes. The Bruins would clear. DeSmith denied Pasternak. Power play then for the Bruins, and this is where it happens. So this is the most noteworthy thing from this game, where and Malkin being out at this stage of the game was definitely noteworthy as well. So I'll go ahead and say yes. Malkin exits the first period, came back to start the second, and then he left again. And we'll see how long Malkin's going to be out, but it's Pittsburgh, so it's probably going to be 3 weeks. Genuine result seems to be 3 weeks if it's a Pittsburgh injury. They have injuries all the time. Every time you go, well, when Pittsburgh's healthy, part of me kind of chuckles. Pittsburgh, Colorado, St. Louis, never healthy. If you hear that guys are coming back, get ready for other guys to leave. So there was a 5-minute penalty given to Tanev for boarding Tenorti. Tenorti was on an awkward angle. He gets shoved into the boards. I don't know what Tanev was expected to do there. It wasn't a charge. It wasn't a cross-check. It wasn't interference. It was unfortunate. And Tenorti left the game. He was definitely concussed. He was out of the game. I don't know how long Tenorti's going to be out, but it could be a while. But as much as I have concern that Tenorti's going to be out for a while, I don't know what Tanev was supposed to do there. So they called the 5-minute, and they showed it on the replay. Now, I'm watching the feed, the nationwide feed. I wasn't watching Nesson. And the nationwide guys, including Pierre McGuire, Pierre says, what's he supposed to do there? And I agree with Pierre on this. I don't know what Tanev's expected to do. So they expected it to be a 2-minute instead of 5. You can't completely take the penalty off the clock in this situation, but you can drop it to a 2. They reviewed it, and they still said it was a 5. Tanev, rightfully, absolutely stunned. And it is the first time ever that I'm going, okay, Boston's got a 5-minute power play. I don't want them to score on it. I don't want it, because that's ridiculous. Pittsburgh absolutely should not have been shorthanded 5 minutes. I would argue they shouldn't have been shorthanded 2. And the fact that they did a replay, I want to know, did they call Toronto for that replay? Or was this just, they looked at the replay and they went, yeah. Because I know some situations they don't have to call Toronto. I don't think in this situation they had to call Toronto. If not, I'm kind of surprised Toronto didn't call them and say, wait, that's a 5-minute penalty? Again, I don't know what, I mean, it was way out from the board, so, but it's a 5-minute penalty, apparently. So Tanev was out for the rest of the game. This is where Pittsburgh's already short Malkin. So they're down to 10 forwards. So yeah, we get a shorthanded break during that for Jankowski and Boston. And again, I hate to say it, thankfully didn't score on the power play because you don't want it like that. So we go to the third period. First minute, the Penguins get a power play. They don't score. And then Boston, it's a miracle. Almost a Christmas miracle. They get a 5-on-5 goal. It's Trent Frederick scoring his 4th of the year from Sporil and Bergeron at 7:07. And while Frederick's known for the physical and the fighting and everything else, he does have offensive upside. I hope he starts to trend more in that direction because the Bruins could really use that secondary scoring. Penguins then press with 2.5 minutes left. They pull the goalie with 1 minute and 50 seconds left. Pasta misses the empty net, so that's concerning. Marchand then missed the empty net as well. The Bruins do, though, manage to hold on, and I mean hold on. Vladar made some great saves that last minute. Pittsburgh's all around the net, just couldn't get it in. Your final score is 2-1. Boston goes to 15-8-4. Pittsburgh goes to 18-10-1. And this battle between these two teams is heating up. Shots in this one were 15 each in the first period, 13-9 Boston in the second, and Pittsburgh outshot them 11-5 in the third. Final shots 35-33 for Pittsburgh. Boston 1 for 4 on the power play. Pittsburgh 0 for 4. Vladar saves 34 out of 35. DeSmith saves 31 out of 33. Both goaltenders are very good. Again, I swear, if player safety says anything about Brandon Tanev, then there's something really, really wrong. So it's not going to happen. There's no way. All right, next up, Carolina. So Carolina, first team in the league to have 20 wins. They have 10 on the road and 10 at home. They're very consistent. Detroit is way better than they get credit for, probably even for me. And I'm a fan of Mickey Redmond. I'm a fan of what Detroit's doing. And tonight is a good example of how Detroit's getting better. They're getting better. The Detroit Red Wings are definitely getting better. Reimer versus Bernier, the battle of two former Toronto Maple Leaf goaltenders. Early chance for the Canes on a power play. They would score. Niederreiter scores from fast and Bean at 2:21. So it's 1-0 Carolina. It's early. Carolina looks good. What's Detroit going to do? Well, they get a power play. Their power play all of a sudden looks really good. Their power play's been really good for the last 3 weeks. Ernie scores on the power play from Zadina and Hronek at 3:35. It's a tie game. Canes press at 5 minutes. The Wings then get a second power play. And they do the unthinkable. Ernie scores again. That's 2 power play goals in the first period from Hronek and Larkin at 12:11. It has been since 2007 since the last time a Detroit Red Wing had 3 power play goals in the same game. Got a hat trick on the power play. And it was Thomas Holmstrom that did it. They dropped that trivia fact on the screen, and I thought, better retain that. So I did. I didn't write it on the board. So that goal was also with Reimer minus the stick. So again, I'm watching the Detroit feed, and the question they had was, could Reimer have picked up his stick? Osgood chimed in. He actually came in a bit later and said he could, but it's on his glove side. So basically along the lines of he could, but he's probably going to be out of position, and they're probably going to score anyways. So there's that. Martinook then had a chance that was stopped. Late in the period, the Wings get their third power play. So we go to the second period. At 1 minute and 50 seconds, Aho scores from Niederreiter and Nachas. And you know Carolina's not going to go away, and they didn't. And then Paquette had a really dangerous chance after that. Canes get a power play. The Wings then get their fourth power play after killing that off. There was a chance for fast shorthanded. That was denied as Carolina really made a push shorthanded to try to get this game, get the lead for themselves. But then Fabry scores from Larkin and Stahl at 12:28. So Mark Stahl on the board with an assist. Probably thinking, hey, Carolina, you noticed I got an assist. You're talking about bringing my brother in, right? Why don't you all 3 of us could be together. It'd be fun. It'd be great. Eisman's probably like, yeah, I mean, we're not making the playoffs, sure. Mark should go to Carolina too. Reimer stopped a chance from Mantha. There was another Wings power play. That was their 5th already at that point. They would end up with 6 on the night. Larkin had a chance with 2 minutes left. Fleury took a puck to the visor. So it struck him in the visor. And that's one of those things where you're like, hey, glad there's a visor there to stop it. He was okay. We get a late power play for the Canes. We go to the third period. The Wings killed off the remainder of that power play. Mantha had a break. And Reimer came out and cleared it away. So it was sort of... It's along the same... Well, it's not along the same lines. Let's put it this way. The puck was off Mantha's stick, so Reimer came out and cleared it out rather than let Mantha catch up to the puck. So it's not the same as what Fleury did last night. McGinn stopped a chance from Fabry, as in he saved a goal. Wings get another power play. The Canes goaltender gets pulled with 2 minutes left. They called a timeout. Glendening missed an empty net chance. Prime chance for him, too. But then Hronek hits the empty net from the other end of the ice. And his teammates were very excited because it's his first goal in 49 games. Goes back to, I think, February of last year. 19 minutes and 34 seconds. He hits the empty net. Detroit goes to 4, wins this one 4-2. They go to 9-17-4. Carolina drops to 27-1. And as a result of everything that happened tonight, they drop in their standing in the Central in what is a crazy division. But Detroit, do not take them lightly. This can happen. Shots, 15-7 Detroit in the first. 19-8 Carolina in the second, 11-5 Carolina in the third. So Carolina outshoots them 30-13 over the last 2 periods, and that's where Bernier comes in. Final shots, 37-28 for Carolina. Power plays, the Canes go 1 for 3. Detroit goes 2 for 6. Reimer saves 24 out of 27. Bernier saves 35 out of 37. Of the 2 former Leaf goaltenders, Bernier is playing the better hockey. That being said, I need to change boards. So, Minnesota. Homestand, 5 games, win all 5. make it look easy. For Arizona, they get outscored badly in this series with Minnesota, and it's left them in a rough spot now. And it feels like Arizona was progressively having more difficulty with Minnesota. Something they mentioned during this game is that during the start of the season, you'd see these splits, right? You'd see the team win the first game of the back-to-back, and then the other team would win the second game of the back-to-back. But what we're starting to see, it seems, it feels like, is that certain teams are figuring out how to beat the other team, and so it doesn't matter that second half of the back-to-back, you know what works. And it feels like Minnesota knows what works against Arizona. It was not the most exciting game tonight, not going to lie, but it doesn't matter. Minnesota wins. Minnesota wearing their whites at home, Coyotes wearing their reds on the road, which I thought looked weird, but you know what? I like the white jerseys at home. Just regular white, not the reverse retros. Kakkonen was tested early. He was very good. That goaltender is a very good goaltender. Hartman scores on the first shot from Greenway and Fiala at 137. So Aiden Hill, tough start for him. First shot goes in the net. Shots were 6-5 for the Coyotes at the half. So they were getting chances, but Kakkonen's really good. Power play then for the Coyotes. And then there was a 5-minute elbow to Garland by Soucy. They did review that as well. They did declare, yes, it's a 5-minute for an elbow. They kill it off. The Wild kill it off. There were no good chances. And then Soucy comes out of the box, and Krause just jumps him. And it was funny because it was an ugly loss for Soucy because he got jumped. And then Krause breaks a rule. When somebody goes down in a fight, you do not throw a punch to the guy who's down on the ice. Krause definitely did. I didn't count how many, but it was more than one. And so he gets the instigator, he gets the game misconduct, and this is an instance where I'm like, yep, that's where the spirit of the rule exists. Because he just mugged Soucy coming out of the box. I understand because there was the 5-minute elbow on Garland by Soucy. I get it. But still, Krause gets thrown out of the game. The Coyotes players all high-fived him when he left the ice. They were very happy with him doing that and letting him know, hey, you can't take our player out like that. But, again, Soucy, the funny part, the part I'm kind of chuckling about is they told Soucy that he was getting 5 for fighting, and he kind of had a look on his face of, for what? Because I don't know how many punches he threw or what he did, but yeah, you're out of here, 5 minutes. So the Wild end up with a power play out of that because of the instigator. They don't score on that. So we go to the second period. You get the idea these teams really don't like each other. Hill denied Parise. The shots were 5-1 for Minnesota 4.5 minutes in. The Coyotes get a power play. That's killed off. Parise had a chance on a turnover. The Wild would get a power play. But that second period, the Wild control it. They get way more shots than Arizona. Hill's the one keeping it close. But we go to the third period. It's still 1-0. In the early part of the third period, Garland had a chance that was stopped. Zuccarello then gets a goal at 2:07 from Soucy and Kaprizov. And that was not a great goal. It's one that you need Hill to make the save. And again, it's not like Arizona scored tonight, but that's one of those ones that can be tough to watch if he's on your team, right? Pressure then drew a Coyotes power play after they tried to answer for this. But their power play tonight was not happening. Minnesota gave them nothing. There were no good looks on that power play. Minnesota did so well with that. They then get a power play themselves. That's killed off. Soucy had a wraparound after that. That was saved. And then Spurgeon, to add the exclamation point, he gets a goal from Suter and Bonino at 13:57. Makes it 3-0. After that, Kaprizov, he almost got one himself. Chychrun would hit a post, which Kakkonen was likely very happy about, and Garland was frustrated late. And by that I mean Kakkonen's making saves, and he smacked the post with his stick on the way by. Just showing he was frustrated because they just couldn't buy one tonight. They lose 3-0. They drop to 12-13-4. For Minnesota, they're now 18-8-1. They're going into a couple of games against Colorado. I believe it's 2 against Colorado. And yeah, we'll see how they do there. They look very good tonight. Shots in this one were 11-9, Arizona in the first, 13-3 Minnesota in the second, and then in the third, it was all Arizona except when it comes down to the goals. 4 shots by Minnesota in that third period. 2 of them went in. Final shots 17-4 Arizona. Final shots 31-26 for the Coyotes. Power plays, Arizona goes 0-4, Minnesota 0-3. I will say of those 17 shots, I'd be willing to bet a lot of them were from the outside. Not necessarily fantastic ones, although Kakkonen, 31 saves for his second career shutout, and that's his 9th win in a row personally, and 8 wins in a row at home for Minnesota. They're winning how they have to. Hill saved 23 out of 26. Not his best night. And yeah, for Arizona, very, very frustrating. Very frustrating, because they have to be looking at the standings and saying we're falling further behind. And yeah, the West, it feels like you have the top 4 and then the bottom 4, and that separation is just... I already did the video on that, though. Okay, Tampa. You know, this one tonight, this is kind of... Well, I don't know how I feel coming out of this game. I don't know if I feel like, hey, Dallas showed something in this, maybe they can build on it. Or if it's a... They broke through too late, and Tampa comes out of this with 2 points. And Dallas again, extra time, whether it's shootouts or overtimes, there's just too many of those single points there instead of the 2. Reverse retro Stars, and I thought they looked like Tron, like a reverse Tron out there with the lines, with they're wearing white and they've got the green lines. I thought it looks like Tron, and I know Tron is something people have mentioned about the Rave jerseys, the black ones with the neon green. I thought the ones they're wearing tonight look more like Tron because the lines are also on the shorts. And it, you know what's interesting too is the Dallas reverse retros definitely look better as part of the uniform than they do just on their own. You can't see the outside of the star and Dallas over top on TV though. That's what I had figured. With the silver on a white background, you can't see it. You just see the green of the star in the middle. So to the game, Braden Point scores early from Palat and Cirelli at 3:55, and it was a breakaway goal. It was one of those where Dallas defensemen probably look at each other and go, "I thought you were going to get Braden Point." All right. The shots were 5-2 for Tampa at 6.5 minutes. They press again at 9.5. And so at this point, you're switching channels between games. Every time I go to this game, Tampa's got control. It's in Dallas's end. Dallas is lucky that Ottinger played really, really well. Jake Ottinger again tonight, showing how good he can be. And it is impressive how he has come out and proven that he is truly the next one. Second period, early Stars power play. That is unsuccessful. Tampa Bay gets an opportunity on the power play as well. The Stars, after their power play is done, Kamano out of the box. He gets a bit of a break. That was saved. And then Vasi made another save as the Stars did manage to press. Sergachev got stung on a blocked shot. He stayed in the game. The Stars get a power play. Heiskanen scores on that power play from Pavelski and Robertson at 9:05. That broke a streak for Vasilevsky of shutting out the Stars at 206 minutes and 54 seconds. That's not too bad. Vasilevsky, very good record against Dallas, and maybe it gets in their heads. I don't know. But Dallas, when they have trouble scoring, I'll talk about it. Because there's a dual frustration with this. So the Stars press with 8.5 minutes left. They're unsuccessful. And then Joseph, he gets a goal from Maroon and Colton at 14 minutes and 20 seconds. And then Tampa would press with 4.5 minutes left. So Tampa, again, they're up 2-1. They're pressuring, and they did pretty well at the end of that period, even though Dallas outshot them. Third period, Stars press at the 2-minute mark. There was an almost for Chernak. It just misses the far post, just wide. Power play then for the Stars on a too many men call. Tampa actually had 7 guys on the ice. So that's definitely too many men. Vasilevsky stopped a Klingberg shot. Kamano had a chance. Sergachev defended that. Things get kind of scrummy, which I thought wasn't very Tron-like to see that kind of scrum. You don't see that in Tron. You see they should, if they're gonna have a Tron fight, you have to have the discs. They have to get the discs on the back of the jerseys and wing them at each other. I don't recommend that. It's bad. Somebody will get it in the eye, and then you're just calling for trouble. The Bolts get a power play, which I thought could end it, and then they score, which I thought probably ended it. Stamkos gets the power play marker from Hedman and Point at 11:49. Great power play. They were passing around and just getting closer and closer to the net. Dallas is getting closer and closer in, and they put it in. So that's point number 500 for Victor Hedman. Kudos to him. Great game. Awesome night. The Bolts then pressed for another. Joseph nearly got his second of the game. So yeah, there's a lot of great things happening for Tampa. They're up 3-1. Goalie pull with 3 minutes left. Well, you tried, right? Goalie pull with 3 minutes left. But they score. And again, this is where the frustration comes in. So Dallas can look really inept and like they're never going to get a goal. And then they look like they could score at will. And this is what happened here. First, it's Ben, who had a lot of opportunities before this, from Heiskanen and Pavelski at 17:54. Then they pull the goalie again, and they score again. Radulov from Ben and Robertson at 18:35. So they go 3.5 games without a goal against Vasilevsky before they get the power play marker here. And then 6-on-5, they get 2 goals in about 40 seconds. And then in the overtime, that was a great overtime. That was a fun overtime. Heiskanen misses wide. Dickinson very close to a winner. Is just caught in his feet. Vasilevsky denied Ben. There were chances for the Bolts at 3 minutes, but we go to a shootout. And in the shootout, you have Braden Point. He gets your winner. So it was a very good overall game for Dallas, but they dropped to 9-9-7. Tampa goes to 26-2. They are the second team to 20 wins. They join the Carolina Hurricanes with that number. And yeah, the shots in this one were 19-6 Tampa in the first. Yeah, it was dominant. 10-7 Dallas in the second, 9-7 Dallas in the third. In the overtime, Tampa outshoots them 3-2. Final shots 36-27 for Tampa. Tampa goes 1 for 2 on the power play. Dallas goes 1 for 3. Vasilevsky saves 24 out of 27. Ottinger 32 saves on 35 shots. And yeah, for Dallas, we'll see if they can build on this, right? We'll see if this is something now that they build on from here and they start getting their confidence back. I thought at that point, I thought maybe they are going to win it. And then, nope. All right, next up. This was the weirdest game I've watched. Maybe the weirdest game I've watched all year. Maybe. It's up there. Ducks wearing the reverse retros. That should have been an automatic tell. This game's going to be weird because they're wearing their Wild Wing jerseys. So with the green shorts, and then the goalie has the purple ones because sure. Burakovsky scored from Kadri and Girard at 1 minute and 1 second. So that was kind of rude. They weren't all that impressed with the Wild Wing jerseys. But then the Ducks didn't have a problem scoring in that first period. Terry scores from Zegras and Henrique at 2:16. That was the first shot on Miska. Miska came into this game with a save percentage. I believe it was .845 before this game. Yeah. Post then for McKinnon. Miller made a good stop at 4 minutes. And then on their second shot, it goes in the net. Danton Heinen scores from Hutton and Henrique at 4:33. It's 2-1 Ducks, even though they'd been outplayed by the Colorado Avalanche. The Avs then with more posts and almost goal. McKinnon decides he's going for his second post, and he hits it. Kadri would score from Saad and Taves at 7:02. That one rang off post 2 before it went in. Or it hit the back post when he hit it, so one or the other. Either way, it's a tie game. The Avs and McKinnon then went for the lead. Miller denied Saad. Miller did not have a good game tonight. The Avs get a 3-on-1. Burakovsky fires wide. Strong period for the Avs. This was a strong period. And then Henrique scores from Terry at 15:59. That was their 5th shot. 3 goals on 5 shots. Yeah. Belmar then hit the post. The Avs get a power play. There was a shorthanded break for Heinen. He was stopped. And then also shorthanded, Grant draws a penalty shot. And he scores 19:43, and it went right through Miska. He just put it through him. And I mean, you know Miska's going to finish the first period, but you get a feeling he's not going to be back for the second, and he didn't. So Grubauer starts the second. So much for a night off. I really think the Avs need to consider upgrading that number 3 spot. There's availability. There's this Forsberg guy who's on waivers right now from Winnipeg that would probably be an upgrade. And no offense to Miska, but this isn't the first game where he's looked kind of shaky. Second period at 6 seconds, there was a broken glass delay at the bench. The Ducks get a power play with Grubauer now in the net. Better period for the Ducks. And this is the funny thing. In this period, it started off better for the Ducks, and Colorado scored. So Rantanen scores from Landeskog at 11:25, and then at 18:26, Kadri ties it up from Burakovsky and Donskoy, which officially takes Miska off the hook for the loss. Now you're in a situation where it's 4-4, and if another goal goes in your net, Grubauer takes the loss. In the last minute, the Avs get a power play. So in the third period with that power play, they score, and for the first time on the night, they take the lead. McKinnon from Taves and Rantanen at 101. So McKinnon, who had empty net goals in the previous 2 games, now he gets a goal in the power play. He's heating up. Gerard would then score at 3:24. And initially, they gave it to Donskoy. Never touched him. It went off Mahura and in. He's right off his stomach and in the net. So, nice bank shot by Gerard. I don't think that's what he was intending to do. I think he was intending to pass it out front. But it's his goal. Career-high 5th goal for him. Power play then for the Ducks. We then get 2 minutes of 4-on-4. Not long after that. Burakovsky, his stick snapped with 4 minutes left. And goalie pull with 3:42 left. So we know what's going to happen when you pull the goalie with 3:42 left and you're the Ducks. They allow a goal. Empty net marker for Belmar. Kadri with the assist at 16:48. So Belmar, maybe that gets him going as well. That made it 7-4. Patterson then tried to make it 8. And the Avs end up on a power play. Here's the thing. We were at a point in the game now where they didn't even bother talking about the fact they were on a power play. Just sort of offhanded mention. By the way, it's a power play right now for the Avs because the game's done. They're probably, getting their jacket on and calling their cab or whatever they do and getting ready to go. And then on the power play, it's Saad with his first power play goal of the season from Donskoy at 18:45. So it just felt like Donskoy was on the board. He just had the 2 helpers tonight. It feels like he was on the board more than that. 8-4 is your final. 8. Now, I normally have 7 goal magnets, so I had to go dig out an 8th magnet for Colorado. And yeah, Colorado did it. They get to 8. Again, they're the only other team that's gotten to 8 this season, so they've done it twice. They did it against St. Louis early in the year. Colorado outshoots them every period. 10-7 in the first, 13-7 in the second, 13-8 in the third. Final shots, 36-22 for Colorado. Anaheim 0-for-2 on the power play. Colorado 2-for-3. Miller, 28 saves on 35 shots. This was the worst game I've seen Miller play this year. Miska saved 3 out of 7. That says everything. And Grubauer saved all 15 shots. So he didn't get a night off, but Grubauer didn't really have to face a ton of pressure for Anaheim either. And so for the Ducks, they dropped to 8-16-6. And Colorado, with 4 wins in a row now, they go to 17-8-2. So Colorado's rounding into form, and we'll get a good impression of which team is really the contender between they and the Wild when they meet this week. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video, and yeah, there's a lot of stuff I had to explain that happened in tonight's games. We'll see what the news of the day tomorrow brings, whether there's anything that's fallout from this, or what the NHL, what the league has to say about any of the stuff we saw tonight. We'll see. So like Soucy's elbow, we'll see if they say anything about that or if that's fine. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.